Ross, what's good, man? What's good with you, brother?
What's good? What's good? What's good, man? We got a lot of hot button topics today, man. I'm just here to separate the weak from the strong, man.
We definitely do, man. And to be honest with you, um, we gonna talk about that Jada Pinkett shit because that shit is crazy in of itself. Um, it just goes to show you how I've always said it, man, and I will continue to say it over and over again. No matter how many times women try to sit there and try to make themselves seem like they're on a even playing field with men, men always went out. Even in death,
Mm-hmm.
they went out. So people got to understand that it's a man's world. Get get that through your thick fucking head. Shit.
Mm-hmm.
Even when you grow hair, like right now, our hair is fucking grown or whatever. You know what's causing our hair to grow? It's called testosterone. That's what it's called. It's a male hormone that causes the hair to grow, but it doesn't only cause. It's not only the hormone that makes male hair grow. It's the hormone that makes female hair grow. So in hair growth, God is teaching you who's the dominant species. But
Right.
anyways, let's go back to PBC, DAZN, and this whole Eddie Hearn debacle shit. Because we got to talk about this first and foremost, man. What is your take on this whole debacle with the zone, Eddie Hearn? Like, we really need to get into this, man. I really want to know because these guys were doing YouTube events that wasn't selling out. They were doing basically events where they were just basically taking the biggest, highest YouTuber, putting it together in some low rent, trash, celebrity filled type of event. Nobody was watching that bullshit and fuck shit on a bullshit app. And then all of a sudden, Showtime Sports, Steven Espinoza, and them said, well, um, by the end of 2023, going into 2024, we want to focus on other avenues of entertainment. We're no longer going to focus on boxing. So we had a great ride with PBC. PBC had a great ride with us. We did 10 years. Clearly, if it was up to Steven Espinoza, they would continue on, but you could tell it was something that was over his head or whatever. So they're going to have fights for the rest of this year. But outside of that, there was two major companies that Al Heyman's talking to: Amazon Prime and DAZN. Preferably, I prefer DAZN because with Amazon, you know, it could work, but the problem with Amazon is, you know, when you get into Amazon, it's like Netflix. You're gonna have to now click into movies, and then you got to go to the sports, and then go to boxing. It's like too much just to get to boxing. Whereas DAZN, you know, it's we've already been on the app. It's right in your face. It just needs basically a touch up. It needs an upgrade. It needs a PBC, what we would say tune up. You know how you take your
Mm-hmm.
vehicle to get a fucking tune up? It just needs a tune up. So I want your take on it, man. With DAZN going out of business and PBC needing to come in and save the fucking day.
It just goes to show you. It goes to show you how there's a difference between being a cash cow
Mhm.
and being a stand-in for a cash cow. Like a true cash cow could go to a entity and generate money and take that entity to the next level. When Floyd Mayweather left HBO for Showtime, that made Showtime become the premier channel for boxing.
Mhm.
But when Canelo went to the zone did not become the zone did not become the premier channel for boxing because Canelo don't carry that he doesn't carry that prestige. If anything, the zone lost money with Canelo, and because
Exactly.
Canelo's not a true cash cow, now they got to go. Now they got to go to the well, and they got to call up PBC. They got to call up Floyd Mayweather now to fix a horrible gaffe that they done made. This is the last this is the last this effort. This is the last this effort to save the zone. And like I told you, the zone it will go belly up. Their business model is not built to last. The only people who could save it is Al Heyman.
Yep.
He the only one that can save it.
Yep. And I'm glad you said that because the bottom line is the zone was basically putting up a bunch of fights that really nobody asked for.
Right.
You really look at the zone and you look at their makeup and you look at the nonsense that's behind them. We have to ask ourselves, really, seriously, why did it take Al Heyman and PBC to come in and save the damn day? And I'm going to explain why. See, people have to understand the downside of the zone. The reason why the zone it's advantageous for them to partner with PBC. No, it's all right, man.
Yeah.
The reason why it's advantageous for them to partner with PBC is because this would be a good alternative to the low quality YouTuber fights. I'm going to say this again, that they've been showing to pollute the network. That's what they've been doing. They've been contaminating their network with YouTube fights.
Right.
The KSIs, Logan Pauls, the Jake Pauls. So clearly, PBC is coming in to save the day. By eliminating the YouTuber events and focusing on PBC, the zone has the potential to increase its subscriptions.
Right.
Something that it has failed time and time again at doing. Failing at its damn subscription. You know how many people got the subscription and then unfucking subscribe? We've seen it all over YouTube. We've seen it plenty of times. People are like, man, I don't even watch that shit no more. I go on one of these websites to go if I want to go watch a DAZN fight. The zone has become unwatchable for some boxing fans who can't relate to watching the YouTube influencer events that they've been putting on.
Right.
That has been the problem with the zone. And this is why they needed PBC to come in and save the day, because PBC could come in and give you a full year calendar event of fights. This is what they do. They come in and fill the sheet. They come in and say, hey, we got fights stacked for a whole damn year. And people are going to watch it.
Yep. Fights that they took the time to build, fights that they know people want to see. The problem what happened with the zone is they put their eggs in the wrong basket.
Mm-hmm.
They invested in the wrong fighter. They invested in a fighter who is not interested in actually fighting competition. He's been ducking competition his whole career. And Canelo, if Canelo would have came over there and would have made, if he would have came over there and he would have made the Andre fight, if he would have fought Devin Chaco, if he would have fought Jamal Charlo, then the zone would be in better shape right now.
Yep.
Another reason why they're in bad shape. They were trying to replace a mainstay in boxing, and nobody asked to be replaced. They were trying to replace pay-per-view. No one was. People are always trying to give the people stuff that they don't want and wonder why it don't work. No one was asking for it to be replaced. When it comes to boxing is like wrestling. People just accept the fact that they're gonna have to pay pay-per-view for the real events. They're gonna have to pay pay-per-view. They accept that fact when it comes to boxing. They try to make a subscription for boxing, and it didn't work because they wouldn't give you fights they wanted. Because even PBC made it work because they were doing it with Showtime, right? They had a Showtime subscription. PBC was making it work, but PBC was giving you fights that you wanted to see. If you didn't want to see it, PBC was drumming up enough attention to make you want to see it, like that Dominic Brazil and Wilder. They they built that fight up so much that I even know who the Dominic Brazil was, but I watched that fight. The Zone doesn't do that. The Zone just springs fights upon you and be like, damn, I wonder why these guys aren't supporting this shit. Yeah, because you haven't got us emotionally invested. That's why.
Now, people talk about the YouTube fight that happened, did 1.3 million pay-per-view buys. Here's the thing. If these YouTube fights were so fire like that, why are they gun-ho about PBC joining the crew?
Right.
And this is what they're not. This is what people want to run away from. We're talking about PBC coming in to save the day. We're talking about the Zone moving Matchroom Sports out of the way. Because here's the thing, and this is what people don't want to realize. The Zone is basically saying, Eddie Hearn, you're trash. You ain't figure it out. Misfits, you're trash. You ain't figure it out.
Right.
We want PBC to come in because it's going to be too crowded if you have PBC, Matchroom Sports, and Misfits. Why is the Zone gun-ho about PBC coming in? And here's the thing. You mentioned Canelo Alvarez, right? Canelo Alvarez, didn't he go run the PBC for a 3-fight deal?
Yeah.
And now he's going to come back. This is like it's like injury to insult. He's going to come back on the network that he ran away from, signed under another entity in PBC. That is so laughable, man. When we tell you guys that PBC runs boxing, they run fucking boxing, man.
Yeah. The thing about boxing fan Anthony, he doesn't know anything about business.
Exactly.
Businesses have business rivals. So when they have to go to their rival for help, that's a sign of desperation.
Yep.
That's the sign of Pepsi going to Coca-Cola for help to stay afloat. That's the sign of Top Rank going to Al Heyman for help.
Yep.
Like they don't want to do that. It has nothing to do with money. So they don't want to do that, man. I don't care what businesses you own. There's a lot of people who own a lot of businesses, man. They're not very good owners when you start looking at the book. You know what I'm saying? If you think that
I don't have to say it, you said it.
if you think that the Zone wants to do this, you're not a very good business owner. They don't.
Exactly.
This would be like you wherever business you're running. This would be like you having to go to your competitor for help to stay afloat.
Exactly.
That's not nothing you want to do. You're not doing that for money. You're doing that because you're at your wit's end. You don't know nothing else to do. It's damn near over for you. You know what I mean? It's over for you. That's not nothing they want to do.
Yep.
You're talking about your business when you might make a couple of $100,000 a year, maybe if you're good. We're talking about $1 billion businesses. These people do not want to help each other. They don't have to.
Yep.
We're talking about billionaires, man. With billionaire pride, billionaire, not a couple of $1,000s here and there, $100,000. We're talking about billions of dollars.
Yep.
That one group wants to make all by themselves, who thought they were going to shut the other group out by doing a subscription-based sports thing, and it didn't work because that was their whole business model. We're going to shut out the PBC. The PBC is not giving us good fights. We're going to have a subscription. Pay-per-view is going to be over with. Here we are.
We're going to be a new wave of boxing. We're going to do it through an app. We're not going to do pay-per-view.
Here we are, 2023. And guess who's doing pay-per-views now? The Zone doing pay-per-views. You got to ask yourself, that 1.3 million they saying they made, that's what you call cookbooks.
Boxing fan, I wouldn't. If I was you, I wouldn't say I'm a businessman. I mean, you're getting cooked pretty badly right now. If I was you, I would never say I'm a businessman ever in your life. But keep going.
At 1.3 million, I call cap it at 1.3 million because we've seen 1.3 million fights. We've seen Floyd do them several times over and over again. Do you know how much? Do you know how much advertisement? Do you know how much gravitas? How many people you hear talk about a Floyd Mayweather fight when they did 1.3 million? Did you hear anybody talking about these fights that way? Do you hear anybody at the barbershop talking about they can't wait for this fight to come on? Do you see anybody at the stores getting their beer and shit ready for the fight? Hell no, man. This fight didn't do 1.3 million. I don't care what they said. It didn't do 1.3 million. Nobody's talking about that shit.
You know, when people get their feelings hurt, it's called projection. They have to tell you what they're doing. anytime somebody has to tell you what they're doing, they're not really doing that.
Because he's taking it to he's taking an insult. He's taking what I'm saying as an insult instead of listening to the logic of it. I don't care if you own 300 businesses. That doesn't matter. And you could be successful. What I'm telling you is these billionaires don't want to work with each other. Them working with each other after trying to fight against each other all this time is a sign of desperation.
Ross, I've been around, me and you, we're doing pretty good ourselves, and we've been around people that do way better than us. Yeah. People don't brag about what they do, man. When someone has to pump their chest and brag, and we're not even like 100K, 200K subscriber YouTubers. When you got to do this, you are pathetic, okay? You're not what you say that you are. Yeah. So if you say you own 2 businesses, sir, you've probably ran those businesses into the ground. And here's the thing. Anybody can go to a let me educate.
He's just capping. He don't know what we make. So how can you just guarantee that?
And I want to educate this point real quick, because then Ross is gonna laugh. You know, anybody can go and file in their state to a corporation entity and say they're an LLC the next day and they're a business. That doesn't mean that you're a profitable business.
Right. Those are 2 different things. Those are 2 different
so
things.
Yes, anybody can say they're a business, sir.
But he's trying to use one thing to debunk another thing, and women do this a lot.
Yep.
I'm telling you that these guys don't necessarily want to work with Al Heyman. They're being forced to because they're failing that business. And you're talking about you own businesses. That could be true, but that has nothing to do with the fact that these guys don't really want to work with Al Heyman. They have no choice. Because if they had any other choice,
I call cap on that, Ross. You know why I call cap on that? Because you don't need to tell us you own businesses and you're a businessman and this and that. That's exactly what the fuck you are. You don't need to tell us that. You don't need to. The fact that you got to pump your chest to do that, that's telling us that what we're saying is affecting you emotionally on a level that's hurting you. What you got to understand is when a company goes belly up, when a company's about to go bankrupt, when a company is in a financial precarious situation, they think logistically, I'm going to speak to you in a business term and a business sense. If you say you are a business person, they have to look out for their best interests. DAZN realized that PBC was their best interest. PBC was basically, have you ever seen Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? You know how they always have the lifeline? PBC was the lifeline. And DAZN doesn't care about how you feel. See, it's not personal. Business is not a personal thing. DAZN wants to survive. So they realized, you know what? We couldn't survive doing this regular app shit, putting up YouTuber events and all of this other bullshit, because you mentioned the 1.3 billion pay-per-view one, right? Let's talk about how many of those that didn't do 1.3 million pay-per-view. You see, Ross? You see how that goes?
Right.
People talk about 1 out of a fucking million.
But you're not understanding the reason why they're doing those fights to begin with is because the real fights they was putting on wasn't selling. So they had to go and find people who don't know how to fight really like that, who got followings, and to put them on because they were picking guys who didn't sell. They picked Devin Haney.
Mm-hmm.
They picked Demetrius Andrade. He's not going to sell by himself. Yep. He thought he was going to get a fight with Canelo. Canelo ducked him. They picked Canelo. They picked Triple G. People nobody really wanted to see like that. HBO was calling Triple G the best thing since sliced bread. Nobody wanted to fight it. Nobody never wanted to watch Triple G fight.
Yep.
Even when he was at HBO, he wasn't really making no numbers like that. They put their eggs in all the wrong baskets. That's the reason why they gotta have KSI fighting against niggas. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yep. But even then, they're not getting 1.3 million. They're not getting 1.3 million because I know the buzz around a 1.3 million fight. Who have you heard talking about this fight? Did you hear the Breakfast Club talking about it? Did you hear ESPN? Did you hear anybody talking about these fights?
You know who talked about it? It was that guy that's always on Twitter, the PBC hater. He has a news platform. I forgot his name. So he's the one always pushing
He's
the
not
shit.
enough though.
But when he pushes it, all of these other guys that hate PBC, they go on this rant to say, well, PBC is going out of business. That's why they went with DAZN. But in actuality, it's the opposite thing, because PBC has options. See, if PBC didn't have options, this is the only way these people, let's play devil's advocate here. This is the only way these people would be right, hypothetically, right? If PBC didn't have other suitors that wanted them, like Amazon Prime, mind you, Amazon Prime is owned by Jeff Bezos, who's one of the richest dudes on the fucking planet, by the way.
Right.
Let's just say he's not in the equation and it's just DAZN. Now you could sit there and say PBC's in trouble. But when you see there's multiple suitors, when you see that Al Heyman has options, when you see that DAZN is damn near forking up over $1 billion just so that Al Heyman can join the team, that tells you that DAZN realizes, you know what? This guy right here, we've done the homework. If you're a true business person like you say you are, then there's a thing called a balance sheet. There's a thing called going and looking at somebody's history as a business.
Right.
He went and looked at Al Heyman's history as a business and said, damn, everywhere this guy go, HBO shit, turned him around. And then what happened when he left? Tanked. Showtime turned him around. Or you know what? We're going to have to take this motherfucker. So get out of your bias. Get out of the fact that you're white. Al Heyman is black, because clearly this person that's talking is a white person. They hate the fact that Al Heyman is black. Get out of your skin color and look at it from business, because a lot of times people that are in business use even race. They get racist and they get prejudiced with the shit. And this is why a lot of times they get looked over. And this is why a lot of times they get put over by somebody that looks like myself or looks like Ross. Do you understand? That's why Al Heyman went and surpassed guys like Eddie Hearn and Bob Arum and all these guys, because these guys had a racist and prejudice, old school mindset. Oh, you're a black man. You're supposed to be able to do this. When Al Heyman in his mind's like, okay, keep thinking that while you stay in this old school hat of promoter, I'm going to be an advisor, which is going to give me the opportunity to do whatever the hell I want to do. I'm not crutched. I'm not handicapped in one situation. I can do multiple situations at multiple times. That's the new thing of business. This is the new wave of business. Putting your hand in every fucking cookie jar, not just doing one fucking thing. A lot of these old school businessmen, they just do one thing and they just stay with one thing, and that's all they fucking know. But guys like Al Heyman are shrewd. They have their hands in everything. So you best believe DAZN is right there fighting tooth and nail with Amazon Prime, trying to see if they secure Al Heyman, not the other way around. Because if Amazon Prime doesn't take Al Heyman, DAZN doesn't take Al Heyman could say, okay, scrap all of that. And then he goes and does his own thing. That's the type of money this guy's working with. So this is what you have to understand. You have to look at who needs who. DAZN realizes that they've been putting up YouTube events with non-name boxers. PBC has a huge stable of boxers. All you got to do is just look at who has what. PBC has calendar dates. PBC has Benavidez and Demetrius Andrade. PBC has all of this going on. So when you see all of that and you put that all together, if you are truly a businessman, the commonsensical approach is PBC is needed. PBC is wanted. And PBC is what DAZN needs at this point in order for them to save themselves. And guess what? This whole app shit that DAZN has, guess who's going to come in and save the fucking day? PB fucking C. Now, guess what we're going to finally see? We're going to see an app subscription thing in boxing become something that's acceptable. Why? Because Al Heyman made it acceptable. They don't want to say that, but we're going to fucking say it on this platform. That's exactly why it's acceptable.
So salute to the chat. Make sure y'all donate to motivate. The Venmo and the Cash App's right there on the screen. But yeah, man, you gotta understand. Had their plan succeeded, they wouldn't be working with the PBC, because the PBC was who their plan was working against. The PBC was the people they were trying to replace. So that's what I'm saying. You start talking about you own a business and all that shit. That don't mean absolutely nothing to what I'm saying. I'm saying this business model was aimed at the PBC. So the fact that they're trying to they're trying to buy out, not buy out, but they're trying to court the PBC. That's just how dire straits they're at. Because they went
Exactly.
from trying to beat them to joining them. You normally do that with a dominant force. If you can't beat them, join them. That's a business model. Some people who can't beat their competitors, they create a conglomerate of businesses where they have 49% control. The competitor who won has 51%. Yeah, I gotta understand economics. You gotta understand business. If you're gonna have a business, you gotta understand that, man. Whatever your competitor is talking about, they wanna jump on board or what shit going on. They wanna invest in you. They're pretty much waving a white flag.
Yep.
It's not what they want to do at all. But if you don't really understand the zone, you don't really understand what's happening in boxing, and you just feel like you just want to be contrary, then you'll find yourself on the bad end of a lot of arguments because you're not really doing your due diligence to know what you're talking about. Because your business I'm quite sure your business has nothing to do with boxing. So you probably don't understand the business of boxing. These people have drawn thick lines in the sand, man. Like fucking like demarcation lines, you know what I'm saying? To where they go out their way to fuck each other over. You never notice at the PBC event, Eddie Hearn always says that wasn't a good event. That he's always at the DAZN event. Bob Arum's always like, that was a horrible event. These guys hate working with each other. So we're not actually making money with each other. They're doing everything they can to take out of each other's pockets. So the fact that these guys are saying, please, man, come over here. We could give you guys a surplus, $1 billion+ if you sign with us, all this shit. Guess what they're saying? You guys are our last hope. Because if they wanted to make money, they could have made money 4 or 5 years ago. They could have came out and they could have made money with the PBC to begin with.
Facts.
But nah, they came out trying to put the PBC out of business, and now they end up having to beg the PBC to do business with them.
Yep. And if anybody's covering the thing the actual way, the way it's supposed to be covered, that's what they should be saying. But of course, you have PBC haters, which I expected that to be the case. You have PBC haters that are sitting and basically putting it out there like,
okay, this PBC, is one of those dudes that just want to continue talking because he wants spotlight. Yeah, you gotta ignore him.
Yeah, like making it seem like PBC is the one that's the one that wants that needs the zone. That's not the case.
Right.
The only reason why PBC is entertaining opportunities is because their contract with Showtime ended. That's it. Fine. If their contract didn't end with Showtime, we wouldn't even be talking about a deal with fucking DAZN or Amazon Prime. Let's be honest here. Exactly. So why do you need potential suitors that are coming after you, that are poaching you? This is like, you know, you got somebody like Kobe Bryant, right? Or Kevin Durant. They become a free agent and they have all of these people that are so interested in them. You want to know why they're interested in that person? It's because they're interested in their talent. They're interested in what that person can bring to the table. And they're interested in that person's viability and their marketability. Clearly, Al Heyman brings marketability. Clearly, he brings viability. Clearly, Al Heyman brings a stable of fighters that, let's be honest, no other promoter has. And on top of that, he can put on fights that nobody else can put on. So when you say you understand business, you say you run business, you say you do this, you say you do that, that shit probably would work on other boxing channels because, you know, you're dealing with a lot of idiots that don't know shit. So they be like, oh, he runs a care home. He runs an NHS, which has nothing to do with boxing. He thinks so he should know something about boxing. Then when you get fact checked by Ross, because I don't need to follow up anything Ross said because everything he said was perfectly and well placed, then you feel like an idiot. And now you feel that you have to do what's called projection. And then you have to do what's called gaslighting. Right now, you just gaslighting for no fucking reason. But that shit ain't working on us, man.
Yeah.
It's like you met the two wrong dudes. at the wrong fucking
But
time.
one thing don't have nothing to do with the other, man. You know, and like the fact that okay, you say you understand business, but the fact that you actually think they want to do this, like, and you don't understand that this is a desperation. You think this is you think they came up with this because they just good business, like they can just no man. They were forced to do this by by via failing over and over and over again.
And you know what happened?
Even
You
if
know what happened,
even
bro?
if you,
Their board of
even if you
directors,
do
their board of directors probably said, "Hey," they had a meeting and said, "Hey, we can't belly up another fucking quarter here because you know they are publicly traded. We cannot
right,
belly up another quarter. We need our fucking bonuses. So bring in.
right,
Can you please bring in Al Hammond, or we're gonna fire you as the CEO?" That's what the fuck
right,
happened, man.
right.
Let's be honest.
Even 1. Let's say they are doing 1.3 million. That's not sustainable because that's a fad. That's eventually gonna fall off.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason why it's back on right now because of Floyd Mayweather, what he did with Conor McGregor. That's a fad. It's a and these boxing matches keep becoming ugly, and you see how ugly and how uncoordinated they are. They're gonna
Yep.
eventually fall off. They can't put their bread. They can't put their bread in that basket. Their eggs in that basket. That's the reason why they're trying to get with Al Hammond. Because they
Well
know that
said.
this is only a means to an end. It's not gonna last that long, man. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? It's not consistent. They don't
And they
consistently
know
do
people's
1.3 million.
attention deficit span. They know people are gonna get bored real fucking quick.
Yeah, it's horrible boxing. When you watch Logan Paul and them fight, it's horrible boxing.
Yep.
They're just filled with testosterone and PEDs, throwing haymakers and getting
Yep.
tired in the first round and hugging each other the whole fight. They
Yep.
it looks like Mike Tyson, Roy Jones Jr. when they fought a couple of years ago, when they were just
Yep.
hugging each other because they were out of breath. That's what it looks like every time they fight.
Yep.
Because these guys are on PEDs, they don't have no win. They look horrible, man.
Yep.
Yep. Jordan says Bishop. Yep. Eddie Hearn, he does give slave contracts for sure. That's the truth,
So
man.
let's switch gears a little bit. Because you know we are talking about this. Um let's switch gears. All right. This is not happening in good faith. So let me do this. Plus, we're not donating to motivate. Um let's switch gears. What's your take on Jada Pinkett, man? This gaslighting broad that she just seems to be lying every fucking second. Um,
Yeah.
and your take on Will Smith, man, and him still putting up with her bullshit.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. I'm kind of conflicted because I kind of thought us adding that topic to the docket was definitely going to get the donators and motivators out because you know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying. But so yeah, but shit, we here now, so I guess we gotta give it to them. So my thing is, I believe she used Tupac and the man who Tupac, the myth of Tupac, to always keep Will Smith in check, so he could never really know his true worth. So for her not to be proud and love the man that she had, she used a man that she never could have to keep him subdued and subjected. You know what I mean? Using her friendship, she's a pure Jada Pinkett is a pure narcissist.
Mm-hmm.
Because her using
And can
Pac
you
like
and
this,
can you because we're gonna do some Q&A real quick. Can you explain what a narcissist is, especially a narcissist that's a woman?
first I'm gonna bring up the actual definition with that,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm gonna get into it. After I read the definition, I'm gonna get into it. Narcissistic
Mm-hmm.
personality disorder is a mental health condition in which people have an unreasonably high sense of their own importance. They need and seek too much attention and want people to admire them. People with this disorder may lack the ability to understand or care about the feelings of others. Behind this mask of extreme confidence, they are not sure of their self worth and are easily upset by the slightest criticism. A
Mm.
narcissistic personality disorder causes problems in many areas of life, such as relationships, work, school, and financial matters. People with narcissistic personality disorder may be generally unhappy and disappointed when they're not given the special favor or admiration that they believe they deserve.
Mm.
They may find their relationships troubled and unfulfilling, and other people may not enjoy being around them. Treatment for
Mm.
narcissistic personality disorder centers around talk therapy called psychotherapy. Narcissistic personality disorder affects more males than females, and it often begins in the teens or early adulthood. I disagree with that, but
I
this
disagree
is
with
what they're
that part.
saying. Some
Mm-hmm.
children may show traits of narcissism, but this is often typical of the age. It doesn't mean they'll go on to develop narcissistic personality disorder. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, uh, children children show it, right? Because children aren't developed yet. But when you
Yep.
have an adult that acts like a child as far as themselves, where they always put themselves first in an exaggerated way, when they don't care about people's feelings and none of that, that's when you
Mm-hmm.
have a full blown narcissist. And the fact that she uses she weaponizes Tupac's life and death against her husband because he's that big of a star. That's pretty much the only thing that could dwarf him, right? It's a myth who
Mm-hmm.
has passed away, what, 25 years ago, I want to say?
Yep.
25, 26 years ago, Tupac passed away. That's the only thing that could really dwarf Will Smith. He's that big and that powerful. She would use the death of
Mm-hmm.
another man who was never sexually attracted to her to dwarf her husband because she feels like she should have been the one who was famous like that. She's really jealous of Will Smith. She's really
Well
jealous.
said.
She's really been competing with Will Smith this whole time and has been jealous of him this whole time. And she uses Tupac's death to kind of keep Will Smith in check. But Will
Do
Smith
you
really
think?
gets the last. He really gets the last laugh. He has the family. He has children. He has the ability to have grandchildren. Tupac,
Yep.
rest in peace, is dead. You know what I'm saying? He
Yep.
wanted to be a gangster. He lived a gangster's life, and he died like a gangster. You know what I'm saying? Don't get me
Yep.
wrong. He was very influential. He was very
Yep.
talented, but
Mm-hmm.
he made a lot of detrimental mistakes as well. You know what I'm
Decision.
saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the fact of the matter is, he was never into Jada Pinkett as she claims. In her mind, she wants to make it seem like he wanted her and she just wanted to be friends.
Yep.
But in reality, when you see how she carries herself, it's her that wanted to be more than friends, and he wasn't really
Yep.
on that with her. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying?
Yeah, because
He
we
was
have we have the truth. We have the truth of how their relationship was when they were around. We don't even need to go by what this person said versus what that person said. We got to go by the truth of how their relationship dynamic was when they were around each other, right? As opposed to when he was alive, as opposed to what's going on now, so many years later with him gone. He doesn't need to defend himself because the relationship defends itself because the relationship was strictly platonic. You could tell
right.
that on his end, it was a platonic relationship. Did he have sex with her? I'm sure he probably did. Did he cut? I'm sure he probably did. But I don't believe that he was the one that was emotionally invested. She was the one that was emotionally invested. Let's just keep it a
Right.
buck. He was emotionally unavailable, and she didn't like that. And now she's trying to paint the picture and portray it in a way that it seems like it's not. And here's the other thing that's funny too. Her son, well, funny and then sad. Her son is sick and tired of her. Jaden has come out and said, "Stop the fucking lying." Now the kids can no longer defend her narcissism. See, this is the thing when you're so narcissistic, you become so toxic to people in your family that after a while they can't defend your narcissism anymore. They
Right.
cannot defend your narcissistic traits. They cannot defend your narcissistic personalities anymore. They actually get repulsed by it. And Jaden is repulsed by it. Now, it's one thing that you gave the daughter Willow a male's name, and then you gave the son a female name. Now, not only he has to deal with a feminine name, the fact that he has to deal with the connotations of him having the same bloodline as you moving forward, and then the fact that on top of that, he's dealing with his own personal demons of, I mean, let's just call it what it is, getting ramrodded in the ass. And then on top of that, you're re-putting them back on the light, because when you put the family back on the light, you put everything about the family's business on light. That's what people don't realize. When you expose yourself, you're exposing everything about the family. That means you're exposing all of the other nuances that's associated. And Jaden wants to be private with all of the shenanigans that he's doing right now.
Right.
And then you're re-putting him out there. So he's pissed off. So he has to call your bluff and say, stop fucking lying. Stop capping.
Right.
Because he wasn't around when you and Tupac had your thing going on. Tupac died prior to the kids being born and stuff like that. But he's heard the stories from you over and over for years. And here's the thing. People will talk so much that they talk themselves into a lie. And he could tell based on the stories that you've told over the years versus what you're recently saying now, it's not adding up.
Right.
It's going contrary to what you've been saying all of these years. Now, all of a sudden, you just waited until now in this opportune moment to finally say that you and Tupac was going to get married is very clear. And then on top of that, you mentioned you and your husband's been separated since 2016. Honestly, this is what I've come to the terms of. I don't think no sane man would just stay in a situation like that, man. I think Will Smith is under some kind of voodoo, man. I have to believe that now. I have to believe it.
Yeah, the voodoo is the narcissism treatment. That's witchcraft.
Yep.
And people don't understand. People like this, they can control themselves, man. They can, but the problem is people don't treat people. People are fooled by the persona. I wouldn't be surprised if she don't even got alopecia. I wouldn't be surprised if she don't use that for sympathy.
Yep.
To disarm you. They always, people who are working narcissistic traits, they always have something going on in their life. They're always, oh, woe is me, blase, because they disarm you with that, while they meanwhile tear you down at the same time. It's always some shit. The person, they normally need the other person. It's like a if you know anything about animals, majority of animals in the wild, they have what you call parasites. They're the hosts. They might have ticks or they might have flies around them all the time. They don't need the ticks. They don't need the flies. Those ticks, those birds that get on their back and eat shit off the birds, they need them. They don't need like the crocodile don't need those birds that get on his back and shit. That eat shit off his back. He don't need it. They need him. You know what I'm saying? Because they're parasites. You know what I'm saying? The narcissist, the true narcissist is a parasite. They hardly bring anything to the table. If they do bring something to the table, it's not as much as you bring to the table. And they try to diminish you. So they got to talk down on you so hard.
Yep. And
bring you down because you're so much bigger than them. That's where the disrespect comes from. That's where the gaslighting comes from. That's where the comparing you to a dead man comes from. How can you compete with a dead man? You know what I'm saying? Listen, she don't love Tupac like she claimed to. Because if she did, she would let her rest in peace.
Yep.
If she did, she'll only bring him up when asked, and she'll ask the question. She'll be truthful, and she'll get back to what she was talking about. She constantly brings Tupac up because it's an emotional thing with his fans. She's fucking with everybody mentally, and y'all too weak to understand. And majority of men are too weak to understand.
She always does it when it's convenient to her.
Right. You know what I'm saying? So like niggas like, no, he's a simp, he's this, he's that. Bro, some of the best men have fallen victim to a woman's witchcraft and manipulation.
Well said.
Best.
Well said.
Yeah. She clout chasing Pac because she understands Pac has an emotional connection to a lot of black people, and specifically his fan base.
Yep. And not just black people, people in general. A lot of people internationally are emotionally connected to this guy. She knows that. So this is how she keeps her name in an international scope, by mentioning him, because nobody's checking for her like that.
Yeah, nobody's checking for her like that. If she would stop talking about Pac, people forget she existed.
Exactly.
But she has not done anything with her fame besides bring down her husband. Because now it's twofold now. Now she's known for talking about Pac and demoralizing her own husband.
Yep.
And you think she will go away from that after 2-3 years ago when she came out and saying she was having sex with another man? Like, no, when she's saying how much that shit went viral, because you know the black community in America are kind of ignorant. We make everything go viral, even stupid shit. When she see that shit go viral, Guess what she did? She doubled down on it. Now she says something about him every fucking week.
Mm-hmm.
But she's gone to the well one too many times to the point where people are tired of hearing from her now.
Mm-hmm.
Will Smith is gonna go on. He's a talented person. He don't
But you see
need
what she
Jada.
did? She added fuel to the fire. She realized that she went too much into the well. Now she just like with a lot of women do. I don't want to say every woman because when you say every, that's putting everybody in the. A lot of women do this. The level of this gas. Let me ramp up the gaslight on a higher scope. Let me gaslight in a way to where now I have to switch it up. I have to go in a different route. And then she brings up this whole Tupac thing, brought it up. Oh yeah, we was gonna get married. Because now she realized the whole Will Smith thing is done and over with. She can't really just keep hammering him. People are sick and tired of that. So now let's talk about this. Now it gives her a long lifeline until people gonna get sick and tired of that. Because now what are people gonna do? They're just gonna talk about, well, she's lying, she's this, she's that, da, 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 da. And you might have some people that might say, well, they always want to tear down a sister, you know. If it was a white woman, I've seen some of that dumb shit too.
She goes to the well so many times that those apologists are being drowned out.
Yep.
Those apologists being drowned out. Nobody wants to deal with her no more, man. She's told that many lies to where she's a meme now.
Mm-hmm.
Now that they're making memes of her lies, she's a laughing stock now. She's pushing.
Yep.
She's like in her mid-50s, and she's a fucking laughing stock.
It's pathetic.
It's pathetic.
It's pathetic when a woman has to do that. This is why I always say, I don't care what dynamics. You said it best, but I'm gonna re-say it again. It might hit some people in the gut personally. I don't care. People you might have ties to. People I might have ties to that's watching us. I don't give a shit. But this is why I always say, women are on the short end of the stick when it comes to the dynamics of male and female. And women got to know their place, operate in it, live in it, and stay in it. You're not on our levels, man. There's a reason why there's a song called "It's a Man's World," man.
Right.
There's a fucking reason for that shit. And when these women start understanding that and they start understanding that concept, hopefully the world will get back to its natural and original state of playing. Because if it doesn't, then what ends up happening is these women are boxed in a shell to where they get to a certain age to where they're forced to have to see that for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's too late for their ass, but they forced to have to see it. I saw Dionne Warwick when she was on her diatribe about, man, I wish I was in a relationship. I wish I wasn't with a man, da 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 da. But she had plenty of opportunities. She was a celebrity woman. Sure, there was plenty of guys that came her way. Probably good suitors, great suitors. But she probably was like, oh, I'm Dionne Warwick, da 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 da. But what is she living her life now? She's living her life in a regret, thinking about a relationship. Men don't think like this. We as men, we can actually, with or without a woman, we can actually move on in our lives and don't give a shit. Because at the end of the day, we know that access to that can always come to us like that.
Right.
As long as we're doing what we're supposed to, as long as we're constantly self-improving, as long as we're constantly putting ourselves in position, access to that, I'm gonna do it again, is like that. Whereas a woman, it's about her looks, man. It's about her beauty. And as that shit goes down the drain, what else do you have? And if your personality is already shit and you're already narcissistic, you're already toxic, what the fuck? That means you are already bad. Mm-hmm. Because when a woman don't have her looks all the way together, the next thing you look for is this somebody that I can have a conversation with? Is this somebody I can talk to? Is this somebody that's tolerable?
Right.
Is this somebody that's submissive? Is this somebody that can? And if you don't have all that together,
and in reality, if you put a looks over that, you actually moving backwards.
Exactly.
You putting that above looks.
Yes.
Compatibility and submission is supposed to come even before looks, man.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like, man, that's why it's imperative for all men to get out there and actually have women and to deal with all manners of women. That way you're not thirsty where you see a bad bitch, you just, all right, I'm gonna put up with her shit because she's bad, and I can't wait to take her to the cookout. So Uncle say, "Is that you?" Like, man, it ain't all about that. You can't have a bad bitch that you can't live with.
Yep.
I'd rather have a cute bitch than a cold bitch that argue with me every 5 minutes for nothing.
Man, I'm gonna tell you right now, this is gonna piss some of these young boys off. I'd rather have a 6 that's submissive, got a nice fat ass, cute, and all that, over a fucking 10 that's a fucking headache, man. I'm gonna tell you that shit right now. I'm gonna tell you that shit right now. I'd rather have that any day of the fucking week. Because I know with that 6, I have a piece of fucking mind with that 6 that I won't have with the fucking 10. That's just the way that I see it, man.
It's like we got somebody spamming the chat. That's off topic. So
Let me go ahead and put them on timeout.
Yeah.
Boom. All right. What do you have to say to that, man?
I agree because I already had 10s.
Yep.
And I know 10s don't mean shit. Hold on, how does nigga come back if you put on timeout? That quick. I know 10s don't mean shit.
Yeah, it don't mean nothing.
If they're not compatible, they ain't on your schedule, if they're not doing what the fuck you tell them to do, 10s don't mean shit.
Nah, they don't.
Matter of fact, they're not even a real 10. Because a real 10 is attractive and on your time.
Exactly.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like J. Cool said, even when you got a 10, if she's intolerable, her face start looking like, yeah, exactly. Because a 10 is more than looks. A 10 is an incapacitated thing. It's mind, body, and spirit. So she look good, but
exactly.
Other than that, she can't cook.
But let's be honest, man. Let's be honest. Everybody has imperfections. So this whole ideology of this 10, this shit really don't fucking exist. Nobody's really a fucking 10. So we want to say what, a 9?
Yeah, well, it's some 10s. If she look good, and she's submissive, and she all that, and she look fine as hell, and she's submissive, and she cook and she clean, and then she is a 10. But the fact of the matter is,
I see what you mean. I see what you mean by 10 from that standpoint.
Yeah. But the fact of the matter is, most women who look good feel they don't have to do basic fundamental shit that women do. And this is the reason why they always get left.
Yeah,
they get a lot. They have a lot.
Gonna get a reality check.
They stay getting fucked. They stay getting pregnant, but nobody stick with them because no man sticks with a woman who looks good, but inside they're rotting because they don't add shit to the table. They just trash.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? That's where they always end up alone.
They always end up alone because they always in their mind it's this FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. So they feel, oh well, you know what? This guy right here, he no longer, because this is what people have to realize. I don't care how good you look, male or female. Human beings, it's instinctive in their minds that when they're with somebody for a while, they tend to not even look at that anymore. Especially men.
Right.
You could be the best looking woman on the fucking planet. Once a man is with you long enough, he's not gonna see you that same way anymore because he's been having access to you over and over again. So now when you start dealing with new guys, they're like, ooh, you look good, ooh. And then that's that FOMO shit, fear of missing out. And then they remember based on the wow factor that they're getting from these other guys. So then that's when they're like, oh, you know what? I want to not mess with this. I want to mess up this situation I got going on, even though it's great. I want to mess it up just so that I can see what's on this side of the aisle, even though I don't know what's on this side of the aisle, even though this side is questionable, even though I haven't properly vetted it, but because I'm getting that attention, I gotta go over there. And then by the time they go over there, they realize the grass is not green on the other side. And by the time they roll back, that guy's long gone. He's probably done married with another chick, or he's with another woman at that point. Because that's what you hear a lot of times in these stories. These guys done moved on. And then these women go on their diatribe stories. Oh, you know, I missed out on a great opportunity. Why didn't you just stay your rabbit ass where the fuck you was at?
Yep. That's the problem, man. People have to realize there's a reason why Jada Pinkett is aging so horribly.
Yes. She is.
She don't even look like the same person.
God don't like ugly, man.
She don't like the same person. That's all that evil bitterness pent up inside her, man. She despises Will's. She despises his success.
Yep.
And the only way she could bring him down and then saw him is to compare him to a dead man. It basically show him through a dead man all the things that she wished he was. When in reality, he's accomplished enough on his own merit to not have to be like Tupac. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, she's aging horribly because she's bitter.
Yeah, that's what it
She's
is.
bitter. Yeah.
And God don't like ugly, man. That's what people don't understand, man. God will put curses on you, and God will allow boils. Like there was literal boils that people used to have in their bodies back in the biblical days, man, because they would be suffering afflictions, man. They'd be suffering oppression and shit like that. But with her, this is literally a curse, man. She got plagues on her, man. Literal plagues because of the witchcraft of her trying to manipulate the situation in her favor. But see, it's not just her manipulating him. You got to look at the other casualties.
The children.
The children. I knew you was going to say that because I just knew the parent in you was going to come out. The children. But here's the other casualty too.
That shit wearing
her
off.
Mom.
Yeah.
Because her mom was the one that told her, hey, her mom actually was the one that gave her the lifeline and told her, look, you got this eligible bachelor here in Will Smith. You ain't got your life figured out. Why don't you get married to you? The mom was trying to look out for her. And you know what she ended up doing on the soapbox? She ended up throwing her mom under the fucking bus. I saw the facial expression from her mom.
Hold on, we got to check something. I hate the mindset of men who always take the blame off the woman and put it on the man. Should Will Smith Ben have left her? You could say that, but at the same time, are you a father? Do you have children? Do you know some men do not want to leave? Do not want another man to raise their children?
Yep.
You know, some men want to see that all the way through. Some men they'll take it. They'll be like, I took it for a little bit. I took it for I was married to somebody I knew I didn't want to be with after the second year, but she got married, you know what I'm saying? But so you gotta understand one thing is it's the weakness in you that always wants to take the responsibility off a woman.
Yep.
Regardless of who Will Smith is or what he was doing. That's her husband. She's supposed to honor and obey him. That's what she said she was going to do.
Yep.
Yeah, that's good. It's good that you did that. I left the mother in mind too. That don't mean you're stronger than Will Smith.
Exactly.
Do you have everything to lose like Will Smith has? Do you got $500 million to split up? If you leave your bitch, I don't think you do. It's easy for you to leave your bride. She probably ain't have shit. You probably didn't have shit yourself. So you ain't have shit to lose.
Well said, man.
You don't have it like Will Smith. You don't know if Will Smith got a prenup or not.
Exactly.
You don't have it like that. Will Smith could lose now. He could leave now and probably be on the better end because look how she's been acting. People might side with him now. It's probably beneficial for him to leave now. He probably couldn't leave when he wanted to leave.
Yep.
Because he would have been out some bread. He might could beat it now.
Now he can because now there's too much evidence. There's too much things that he could use now in court that could help him legally. But in the beginning of it, just saying August Alsina, because he was low key co-signing the shit too. So no, that wouldn't have worked.
Right. I stood in my shit a little too long because I didn't have the leverage to get out and not have to pay alimony and all that shit. Once I did, it cost me the relationship I was in. But once I did, I was able to make that transition. It's easy to say it's the man's fault because the man but it's harder for a man to hold a woman accountable. And I realized that there's different levels of men, and the majority of men in America cannot hold a woman accountable on her own. It's always in relation to a man, and that's not the case. She's a grown woman. She signed on to be married, so I mean she signed on to honor, obey, and respect.
Pause that one. We got to check this one too. This dude said Will Smith claims to have a $1 million legal retainer. He'd be okay if he bounced. I want you to check that one.
That one, he's not saying anything. So you saying he has a lawyer that he pays $1 million legal retainer? That doesn't mean he'll be okay if he bounced.
Thank you.
It's all this shit falls on the actual judge. There's no jury. Yep. There's no jury in the divorce. It's an opinion of one person.
Yep.
There's no jury, man. Like it doesn't matter. Like that don't even make sense. Like, people be saying shit and in their mind You gotta realize
they think that what they saying is fire until they don't realize they didn't even look at all of the full equation of
all
the
because it
situation.
comes from you don't mean it's smart, man. So that's
Exactly.
why sometimes before you say something, you should say it out loud to yourself, or you should say it in your
Yeah.
head. Like then you
Yes.
realize like this shit don't make no sense.
Yes.
Like, okay, so he has a high profile lawyer. Is he going to? Is this a murder case?
Yes.
A murder case, it's hard to prove a murder case. A high profile lawyer could pretty much get you out of a murder case. It's hard to prove actual murder. That's they got DNA and all that shit.
And I'm gonna help you out. When you want to say something stupid and you know it's gonna be something stupid, instead of you saying it fire like it's a point you're making, ask a fucking question and see how people respond to the question. That's how sometimes you get to learn too. That way it don't come across as you saying something stupid. You're trying to be informative about what you're saying.
Yeah, Michael Jordan and Will Smith are two different people, man.
Exactly.
You can't be like what Michael Jordan did. Like, bro.
Then you can't use Michael Jordan's dichotomy
Michael Jordan,
and his
I'm quite sure
children and his wife as opposed to Jada. It's a different scenario.
I'm quite sure Michael Jordan never even loved Juanita like that to begin with. He probably married her because that's what his mama wanted him to marry, man. Okay, think about it. It was never it was a loveless relationship. He was cheating the whole time.
Yep.
So a lot of niggas get with women who they think their family gonna approve of.
Yep.
And secretly be fucking the women they really want to be with behind closed doors and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And you know what I mean? So you gotta understand one thing, man. Jada is fucked up because of Jada.
Yep.
Jada ain't just get fucked up. Jada been fucked up.
Real quick. Keep going, man. You on the roll.
She's fucked up because of her. Not Will. He could have facilitated it, but she was raised to be that way. Her mother's that way. She's a mini version of her mother. Her mother is narcissistic that way. Her mother is what? Old and alone. And she's been following in the footsteps of her mother, so she's gonna end up old and alone as well. They're the same. You ever seen them on the red tabletop? Her and her mother, they're the same. And her daughter is following their footsteps, so she's gonna end up old and alone too. And that's the cycle. The cycle is not men. Men ain't always the fault for everything. Women are raising women to be narcissists. And it's not for you can't change a woman. You're talking about you're having a conversation with yourself. No one's changing a woman at all. The problem is you're not holding women accountable. It doesn't matter what Will does. You shouldn't have to babysit her, man. She's a grown woman. She wanted to get married. She married him, so she has a duty she's supposed to carry out as a woman. Her not carrying out her duty don't have nothing to do with the husband. That's her job. She said, to death do you part, for better or for worse, riches and health. You know what I'm saying? Poor in health. You know, she said all that shit. So she's supposed to be doing her job. She's not doing it because she don't want to do it. It has nothing to do with Will. Nothing to do with Will. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, man. So I always check men who can't hold women accountable. You know, if we're talking about hold them accountable. Will's been held accountable.
Yep.
He's been held accountable. But no one's holding her accountable. What she does on her own is on her. It has nothing to do with Will Smith.
Yep.
Nothing, because if she wasn't doing this, nobody wouldn't even be talking about Will Smith.
Mm-hmm.
If she wasn't doing all that, people would be saying
Will nobody Smith would be talking about her. Because they would still be talking about Will Smith. They'd just be talking about Will Smith from a movie standpoint.
Yeah. I'm talking about in the negative standpoint.
She would be a no-namer right now.
Yeah, I'm talking about in a negative standpoint. Nobody would be talking about what Will is as a husband, and she was doing what she had to do as a wife.
Yeah, exactly.
But in the black community, we don't hold women accountable. So everybody's focusing on Will. Well, she's doing this because something Will ain't doing. Like, no, she's doing that because she'll do that with any man. Exactly. Until she got left. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's what you guys have to realize. Some women are so masculine and they always want to play this victim game. They always want to play this diabolical game that they're not the problem, everybody else is the problem. We've seen these women before, man. We've seen them in the form of Halle Berry. We've seen these women before. But the problem is a lot of guys, they get so caught up into these women's looks and then they just want to say, well, it's the guy. How come he couldn't keep? I used to hear dumb idiots used to say that. Dumb guys used to say, man, if I was with Halle Berry, her fine ass, man, I'll be able to keep her. No, it has nothing to do with that. She was with all of these top celebrity guys that had money, guys that commanded a certain level, and all of these situations go to the wayside. So now you have to start looking in the mirror. Who's the problem? Is it all of these guys or is it her? Because you can't keep a man. So you have to start looking at who the fuck is the problem. And the problem is her. Every time you see women jump from situations to situations and they go into this diatribe of, it wasn't me, it was the guy, or they keep going into this whole thing where they play this thing where they always have to justifications and shit like that. I've been in personal relationships where dealing with women that always have to justify their own shit, always want to justify their own bullshit, and I play like they're not to blame. When you're dealing with women like that, that's a problem, because women like that are clearly showing you that there's a lack of maturity. There's something there in them that has been missed from early childhood onset that you can't take back. This is why it's important that as men, one of the number one things you need to be paying attention to when you get with a woman is you need to be paying attention to her history, man, as a child. And you can find that shit out by just the dealings with her and her family and letting her talk enough. Because women will talk enough about their childhood. They'll talk about enough about their experiences. Those childhood traumas and those experiences and those traumas and how they deal with their family can give you a very good idea of what type of woman you're dealing with.
Right. For sure. For sure, man.
At the end of the day, is there anything else you want to say, Ross?
Nah, it's not, man. This was a decent live. Let's go ahead and end it here. They're not really donated to motivate, and you never know what's going on with people's situations. So, but at the same time, me and you both real busy people. So we can't stay on here if they're not gonna donate to motivate. I think this is a decent enough live for free. An hour is good for free. You know what I'm saying?
I agree, man. Nothing else I have to say. It's been real. It's been easy. Peace.